10 life lessons that helped me go from Vietnamese refugee to a multi-millionaire today. What I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna share with you guys from the time I left Vietnam until I am today, some real big life moments that actually made me who I am today. So hopefully in this video, you guys can share a little bit behind my journey, what I've gone through to get me where I'm at today. You guys ready? Let's do this. I realized that exposure is a big thing. Who you hang out with, who your environment is who you become. And so when I was hanging out in Rainier Valley all my life, this is a neighborhood where it's just basically where all the low income is. So if I was hanging out there all my life and I never met anybody who was a millionaire, how would I ever become a millionaire? Okay, because you're a part of your environment. So I'm sitting here, I'm parking car here on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sitting in that corner right there and waiting for a car to come. So this guy named Brad Badell used to always come there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and eat. And I got to know him, we got to talking, and he said, hey, you looking for any side work? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. On the side work, I used to go to his house and he lived in this area called Broadmoor. At that time, I didn't know where the hell Broadmoor was, but I knew you had to go through this gate. And when I get in that gate, the house was ginormous. I was like, whoa. And I was doing some work and I realized, man, this is crazy. This is the first millionaire I ever met. And then after that, he said, hey, why don't you go up to my apartment building where I'm doing some work at and let's do some work. And he used to buy old apartment building. He used to renovate them and then turn them into a condo and sell them individually. And so he would stage these units up, okay? And when someone buys it, he had me go in there and take all the staging and move it to the next unit so he can actually get that thing ready. So I used to do that for him. And so I get to meet him and I used to interview and talk to him, and he told me, if you're ever gonna do anything, go do real estate. And that's how I actually got started in real estate. He said real estate is where you can make a lot of money and you can actually have your money work for you when you're asleep. So remember, who you hang out with and who you become. You are a product of your environment. The next phase of my life was a phase called learning. I knew when I came out of high school, I didn't have the learning that's gonna help me become a multi-millionaire today. And so when I started wanting to become a millionaire, I had to learn all new knowledge, all new skill. One of the things that I got exposed to was learning about real estate, learning about personal growth development, and just a lot of things. During those times, I used to go see a whole bunch of great teachers, all right, at seminars. Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Mike Ferry, all these great teachers. And I used to go and I wanted to basically just absorb myself around learning. And I remember back then I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, you guys. Tony Robbins, just so you guys know, is the godfather, the OG, the GOAT of personal growth development. And I used to go to a seminar, I used to get so fired up, and they used to sell basically courses. But they don't sell them like today. This is how they sell them back in the day. You buy a whole set of CDs like this with workbook. And this set was about $1,000. $1,000 back then for a course is like $10,000, $20,000 for a course today. Crazy. And they don't do personal coaching. They just, you buy it and you listen to it. And I remember I have all of Tony Robbins. This one is basically personal power. And I got Destiny, Live with Destiny. I have all kind of them. This is one set. And I used to go through there, listen to it over and over and over when I'm in my car, when I'm traveling. And you know, the workbook will go along with it and you do the work. Because again, the more you learn, the more you're gonna earn. So as I was learning a lot, you guys, what I realized, you can learn a lot from reading books and going to seminar. And I realized for me, I can learn even faster if I actually had a coach and a mentor to hold my hand and walk the journey with me, and I can talk to someone every single week and they hold me accountable. So Mike Ferry, real estate coach, actually came out with coaching. I used to hire these guys, basically talk to me once a week for an hour, and I pay them $1,000, which was a lot of money back then. $1,000 was like probably 10 grand today, but I hired them because I knew that I'm a hard worker and I'm not afraid of work. But if I actually have someone that can walk with me and tell me what I need to do weekly, let me check in with them, right? I can even exceed even faster. And so that's what I did. I hired Mike Ferry as a personal one-on-one coach. And then I also hired a investment coach. And I also hired a mindset coach. I think I was spending probably a total maybe $2,000 a month on just personal coaching, one-on-one, to actually help me speed up my success even faster. So today I can tell you this, right? If you wanna grow faster, get personal coaching, get personal mentorship. Some of the best athletes out there, they have coaches for everything. They have coaches for health, they have coaches for eating, they have coaches for weight training, they have coaches for mindset, they have coaches for everything, and that's why they're at where you're at. So if you wanna become a multi-millionaire, you gotta invest in yourself. So as I was getting mentored, one of the things my mentor said to me, you gotta practice focus on one thing and master it. See, at that time, you guys, I was working at Safeway, I was working parking car at a Chinese restaurant, I was working at a body shop, and I was actually doing some work for some friends of mine on the weekends. I was working 7 days a week doing 3 to 4 jobs. And together, when you add all up, it's still probably only end up to one income anyways. So when I got into real estate, my mentor said, we need to focus on one thing. So what I did was, I decided to focus 100% on real estate brokering, selling real estate, helping people buy and sell real estate. And this was my first real estate office. I worked out here at Windermere, okay? And so I got focused, and I wanted to make real estate the #1 focus. And my whole thing at that time was to really focus on being a listing agent more than a buyer agent. I would work with buyers, but I focus really on listing. So what I used to do, I used to take a script, I used to master that like really deep. And then what I did was I made a 100 flyer, and this is why I used to go door knock 100 doors a day, 5 days a week for 10 years straight. And I would knock on door, ask me, do they want to sell their home so I can help them, because that's what my niche was, to go out there and find listing. And I did that for 10 years plus. And that's how I became a millionaire. But the only way I became a millionaire from selling real estate is because I took one thing and I mastered it deep. So if you ever want to master something or be successful at something, you can't do 3 or 4 things. You got to focus on one thing only. As we started making money through the front door, my wife Cameron and I, the next thing we had to learn how to do was manage the money. Because I see so many people out there, you know, they make a buck and they spend $1.10, or they make a buck and they spend 99 cents. So for us, we wanted to actually buy our own house later, and we want to invest in real estate. So what we did, folks, well, we actually live in mom and dad's house. Okay, Cameron used to live over here with me, and we live here and we started real estate. And when we making money, we'll take a little bit of money and we'll pay our bill, because we had no expense. We had no rent, basically eat at home all the time. We didn't go out and eat. I think our living expense at that time was about $2,000 to $3,000 a month, because we had money to go and basically go and travel and go to seminars. And so when we were living here, we had no expense. So when we were making money through the front door, a little bit of money went to expense and the rest of it went into saving, and we saved it. And you guys, we stashed it, and we live here, and we bought 15 rental property when we were living here before we bought our own personal house. And so that's Cammy's philosophy. We're gonna pay a little bit, live below our means, and now the rest of the money, we're gonna actually save it and we're gonna actually invest it. And so we did that for probably 6, 7 years before we bought our own personal house. And so for Cammy, it was all about live below your means. As I started making money and I started saving it and having some money to invest, my mentor used to always say to me, you want to learn how to make money and let the money actually work for you when you're asleep, okay? So start buying rental property. And so naturally, that's what's the next phase of my life. I was taking the money and I started buying investment property. See this property here? I bought this property, my first property I bought in 1997. I paid $105,000 for this property. I put down 5%, which is about $7,000, and I turned it into a rental. Today, this property here, I can sell this for $750,000, not including the ADU I'm gonna put in the backyard. So by the time I'm done, this property here will be worth $1 million. So here's what I realized, okay? As I started buying single family and I started buying multifamily and apartment building and everything, I realized that if I took the money and I actually leverage it and park it in real estate, I get this thing called compound appreciation. That down payment, it compounds. Like for example, when my money doubles, it doubles in the value of this property. Let's say this property worth $750,000 today. 10 years from now, if it repeats itself in this Seattle area, that will go to $1.5 million. That's $7,000 invested from day one. It will never ever get to that kind of compound appreciation. So I learned compound appreciation. I learned actually how to get cash flow. Then I learned actually how to have write-offs to offset my high earned income, so I pay very little taxes. But here's the big thing I want you to understand, okay? You cannot save your way to wealth. There's no way I can have $100 million today by just parking my money I make in a bank account. Today I own hundreds of property, from single family to multi-unit to apartment building. I have over $100 million worth of real estate today. And all this, you guys, started by me buying this one first house in 1997. As I started making more money and investing my money, I wanted to start making a difference. I didn't need to actually get to $100 million to actually make a difference. As I was going there, I was making more money. I want to give, I want to help. Because my mom used to always say, look, as you start to be more successful, help other people, okay? And you're going to be blessed with more opportunity. My mom used to always say, right, that when your hand is tight like this, the less you give, the less you receive. So my mom's hand's always been someone that's always open. She also loved to help people, right? And she received a lot, not just in money, but in many things. So as I was coming up, I want to make sure my hand was like this. So as I make more, I want to give more. So as I was making more, the first person I wanted to help was my mom and dad. I wanted to pay off their house. I bought my dad, you know, his first Mercedes-Benz and, you know, his first Toyota 4Runner, right? I remember I gave him his first car. It was the Toyota 4Runner. He started crying because he never had a brand new car. And so as I started doing more for my mom, the next person is I want to start taking all my family, all my brother and sister, right, everybody on going on vacation. And that used something we used to do annually. And as I started making a difference to my family here, I started making a difference to my family in Vietnam. I wanted to do a lot of things for Vietnam. One of the things I did for my mom was actually the churches in Vietnam that my dad and mom used to always help. I want to start giving them money so they can actually do stuff for the church. And as I started doing more of that, then I started doing more stuff locally here in Seattle. And I used to sit on board like at First Place. I used to provide housing for low-income family. So one of the things I did was I went and built this 7 brand new townhouse. And this is where I built it, and I rented out to a less fortunate family in Seattle. And we actually plaqued this with my dad's name on it, Young's Place. And I did a lot of that, right? A lot of you guys don't know, I do a lot of affordable housing in Seattle. And then I started doing stuff like basically partnering with the Seattle Sounder. And this was the first field we built here recently, where we built this in a New Holly area where I used to grow up at. And this is the brand new field. And right now we're working on building 26 field by the summer of 2026 before the World Cup get here. As you become more and more successful, you guys, give back and make a difference, because you know, you're gonna receive more on your way there also. As I was spending more time giving back to the community, I ended up sitting on a lot of boards, going to a lot of fundraisers, and I started meeting a lot of successful people. So I ended up meeting a guy named Jim Potter. Jim Potter at the time was actually specializing in doing micro apartments. He was the godfather of micro apartment in Seattle. And so at that time, I was actually selling real estate, flipping houses, and building single family home, new construction with my partner named Paul Laballardi, who also somebody I actually met through opportunity. Well, Jim Potter said, hey, Thach, Paul, why don't you guys come do some micro apartment with us? And at first we were like, oh, you know, we're not sure, but we ended up doing it. And we did it for about a year or so. And then Jim Potter come find out he actually found he had cancer. And so he decided, hey, why don't you guys pick up a bunch of my property where I got planning permit where I'm not building it out. So Paul and I ended up picking up some of those. We built those out. I ended up building my own here recently. So I own a bunch of micro apartments in Seattle, but I would never knew about micro apartment if I never met Jim Potter. So you guys, when the opportunity knocked, walk through the door. As I got more opportunities showing up, I started doing bigger stuff, more than single family. And what comes along with bigger stuff, you got is bigger risk, bigger challenges, bigger problem, and you gotta learn how to overcome these kind of challenges. In 2006, I decided to do my big 250 unit condominium building. I wanted to build condominiums so I can sell them. Instead of selling 100 houses at a time, I wanted to do 250 unit and then sell them at one time so I can double up my sale. I started raising money from a lot of my friends, like I think it was like close to $10 million. I didn't have all the experience how to build a 250 unit condominium building, but I partnered with somebody and I was hoping that the person would actually lead the way and teach me a lot of stuff. It didn't work 100% that way. So we ended up raising the money to do this building, and we ended up doing a pre-sale. We sold all of it out within a week, which is fantastic. Now we're waiting from 2006 to 2008 to finish building it and then close the deal. By the time we got to 2008, the market has shifted, and now all these people are sort of backing up out of the deal. And so we went from 251 unit condos sold to literally 200 canceling by the middle of 2008. And we're only 6 months away from being done with this project. The market now, there ain't that many buyers for condominium. And the only thing I had left to think about was how do I convert this into apartment building, which we did. By the time I did all that, got the building leased up, the bank says, you know what? We're not gonna refinance this into permanent finance, so we need you to sell this. So that was another challenge I had to go through, okay? And so by the time you guys, basically the whole thing was over, we ended up selling it to a hedge fund and we took a loss. So the moral of the story is that the bigger you play, the bigger risk, the bigger problem. And if you wanna be a multi-millionaire, you wanna be somebody who do big stuff, you gotta deal with big problem and big challenges. So remember, the bigger the boat, the bigger the wave you're gonna create. You gotta learn how to deal with it. And the last thing that actually got me where I came from Vietnam with nothing as a refugee coming to the United States until today, $100 million is basically this thing called Kanai. Kanai stands for constant and never-ending improvement. We've been living our life with that since Tony Robbins taught me that from day one. You know, in life, you know, you got physical, you got mental, you got spiritual, you got career, you got finances, you got giving back, you got, you know, growing personally. Yeah, these are all the different things that every human being deal with. And what I realized learning from Tony Robbins is this: you got to constantly keep learning and growing, evolving, and all these things. So keep your life exciting, keep you growing. You know, Warren Buffett, he's almost 100 years old and he's still reading, he's still studying the market. That's what I want to be like. I want to constantly keep growing. I want to be able to go to the gym even at 53 right now and box jumping 36, 42 inches, because I want to constantly keep growing, get better at everything that I do in all aspects of my life. If you're constantly growing, you guys, you're never going to go backward. But remember, if you're not moving forward, you're sliding backward. So if you want to continue to keep growing your money, your life, you got to keep living the life of Kanai, okay? All right, that's a wrap for this video. If you guys enjoyed my whole journey, where I came from to where I am today, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts and comments or any other question, please comment in the comment below. And you guys, I appreciate all you guys subscribing to the channel. If you guys can share the video to other people, if you guys can actually, you know, subscribe to the video if you're watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. We want to reach 1 million people here in the next 12 months or sooner. So if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for us, all right? Until then, you guys have an awesome day. Peace.